Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Wyrock. And in today's episode, we're asking the question, does love lie? This is prompted by a very honest and vulnerable essay I read by Allison Sweet Grant in the New York Times about her own experience as a child and her parents lying to her. She dealt with a couple of physical realities, and one of them required surgery, and her parents told her it would be painless, that the recovery process would be smooth, when in fact she has lived in pain for most of her life after that. As she was reflecting on that, she was kind of picking at the idea of parents lying to their kids. And let's just say this before we go any further, who among us hasn't done that from time to time? Sometimes it feels like the easiest and simplest thing to do to your kids is to just shade the truth a little bit, because they're not old enough or wise enough or ready for the actual truth. And in this case, Allison Sweet Grant said that's what her parents did. And it might have made sense to them, but it actually caused her a lot of damage, because as she reflects upon it, she realizes that was when she first started to believe that those who cared about her, those in authority, might not be trustworthy. She talks about how lies can feel loving, but even research shows that that loving feeling doesn't last, because eventually the person finds out that you shaded the truth. And as a result, the experience they have of losing confidence in someone they thought they should trust is in many ways more damaging than the truth would have been in the moment. And the reason why this is so relevant is because this is bigger than parents and kids. This is everything from the wife saying to the husband, "How do I look?" to the friend inviting you to the thing you don't want to go to and you creating a made-up reason why you can't go. We all feel from time to time like the kindest, simplest, most loving thing to do is to lie. But here's the reality of following Jesus. It isn't following Jesus if you only do what he tells you to do when you already agree with it. The magic of the Christian life is the idea that God has made himself knowable, which means when he tells us to zig when we might have otherwise zagged, when he tells us to tell the truth when we feel like the most loving thing to do is to lie, it isn't that he is wanting to make us miserable, it's that he's telling us he knows something we don't know about what will lead us to happiness and the person we're talking to happiness as well. Look, Jesus said this way in John chapter 8, the truth will set you free. There's a connection between knowing and believing and understanding the truth and actually living a life free of insecurity, free of doubt, and free of relational brokenness. Now listen, the truth does need to be shared in love. In Ephesians 4, Paul makes this clear. When we tell the truth, we should do so in a loving and kind way. There is some truth sometimes to the advice your mom used to give when she would say, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say anything. No one's telling you. You have to run around with a stream of consciousness and then couch your painful words in saying, hey, I'm supposed to tell the truth. But what the Bible is telling us is that truth leads to freedom relationally when it is shared in love. Listen, the reason why we lie is often because we're afraid of what will happen. Paul tells us in 2 Timothy that God has not given us a spirit of fear. Listen, we lie to each other a lot because we don't want to hurt each other. That's what we say. But is it not also true that we're more isolated and lonely and bad at relationships than we've ever been? Maybe we don't know what we're doing. Maybe when the husband says to his wife, you look fine, when he thinks he's being kind, maybe her takeaway is, maybe the way I look doesn't move the needle for him anymore. The point is, we can't possibly understand the consequences of anything we say as they ripple out, but God can. And he tells us truth is the way to love. By the way, Jesus modeled this. read the Gospels and this is just a fun study, as fun as the way a pastor would define it for you this weekend. Read a gospel and just make note of every time Jesus says something true and uncomfortable, true and difficult, true and hard. Every time that you and I might have been tempted to shade the truth, might have been tempted to soften it, but he doesn't. But wasn't Jesus loving? Isn't he the ultimate expression of love? It's because Jesus understood something the Proverbs writer says, which I think is a powerful, powerful truth, is that he talks about faithful are the wounds of a friend. That's Proverbs 27:6. That actually loving someone is caring enough about them to tell the truth, believing they love you enough to say, I just don't want to go to that thing this weekend because I'm feeling pretty run down and I need a break. That invites a conversation about how you're doing and how they might care for you, that making up a reason why you can't be there doesn't do. Listen, when we are honest with each other, when we say the hard thing in love, when we hear the hard thing in love, it actually frees us up to really be in relationship, to be vulnerable, to be honest, to be known and to know. That's what God wants for us. Does love lie? It doesn't. How do I know that? Because God is love, and he never lies. Hey, thanks so much for watching this episode of Wake Up, Look Up. While you're here, take a minute to like and subscribe. Really helps us get the word out. Don't hesitate to leave a review wherever you might find this podcast on an audio level and help spread the word. And hey, while you're here, check out all the other content we have at Christ Community Chapel on YouTube. Some of those videos are popping up on the screen now. Click on one.